his head, and there he goes. Abyss gonna clean him up.
Olaf goes down. Everyone's just gonna line up here for Lazzy. He's gonna find himself the Quadra. Give it to him. Pentakill.
Priestley with the quad feet.
Gets the ace. Available just spin to win all over.
That game was insane.
Welcome back, Saints Nation. We're going to get things started here just a moment for some NECC placement matches in Overwatch. Looking forward to this match as we're starting off with Champlain College. And my name is Danner Banner. Oh, geez. Let's start this off. I'm butchering my own name right off the beginning, but nonetheless, alongside me, we have Shadi Hanna once again. First time casting Overwatch in a little while. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. It has been a little bit of time since the last time I casted Overwatch. Not going to lie, the game has kind of slipped from my mind recently, but of course, always happy to be back watching our Saints play some games. I've loved casting these games, especially Ilios, which I believe is going to be our first map. What a fun map to cast. It's such a pleasure to be able to be back on the desk here for Overwatch, checking out some Ilios gameplay.
For sure. With the games that we did see during, it would have been last weekend, I think it was on Friday, we did see a lot of Busan to start things off. I think for the NECC, they strictly lock down which maps are being played each week, which is definitely interesting because in past leagues that we've competed in, it's been more so like not picks and bans, but like loser picks or whatnot, which does of course allow for counterplay. But now with having strictly which maps are being played with every single week, you can specifically set yourself up with a strategy, knowing that you can actually practice a strategy and it's going to get used, unless it's a situation where it's map number 3 and it only went to 2 games. But from what I understand as well here, because these are just the placement matches, this is technically a preseason match, but like I was saying in past NECC broadcasts, basically since NECC is rather new to the scene, first time this league's coming up, I believe, and they don't know everybody yet. So rather than randomly seed groups, and God knows what could happen if with randomly seeded groups, one's like the group of death and others are just weak, why not have a tournament for it or have a little bit of a round robin, see where you stand. So if you really care about your seeding, that's why these matches are happening. And let's just get to take a look at some of these new Saints that we have here in this season.
Yeah, it looks like we have a couple changes here now on the roster. Some of you obviously will be familiar with these players, but let's give a big, warm Saints Clair welcome, whatever a Saint Clair welcome is, to Commanda, Kale, and Imp, who are all going to be new to the squad. I believe also you were telling me that Apostle switched roles. Is that correct?
There was a couple different changes that did end up happening. Of course, like you said, Commanda, Kale, and Imp coming in. Commanda and Imp going to be taking up the support line for St. Clair. Apostle was originally playing support in the last season, but that was never his main role. His main role was tank. So now an opening came up, and now tank is where he's going to be being placed. Usually the off tank, he's usually the Zarya, the Diva, or the secondary tank of sort, not usually the Reinhardt or something along those lines. And then we have Kale, and Kale has been doing a solid job so far in the matches that we did see on Friday as well. DPS player, saw a good handful of McCree during those matches. And then we did touch on Commanda, of course, being on the support line. And I had mentioned on Friday that this meta makes me nervous for her because when seeing her streams and seeing her play and whatnot, it's a lot of Ana, which, well, one, props to you, rather high skill ceiling hero in itself. But with the meta leaning a little bit, it's not one size fits all, but dive is mixed in there, and a lot of teams like to use it, which is an absolute nightmare for Ana players, especially if they can't find the sleeps. Thankfully, been able to defend herself, and the tank line of Prince Wada and Apostle have been doing a fantastic job keeping her topped off and ready to go. And then, of course, last but not least, haven't quite mentioned him just yet, of course, but Bailable, returning again for another semester on the DPS role. We oftentimes see him on a Reaper or a Flanker or a harass kind of DPS, something like a Sombra or a Tracer. And that's what you'll probably expect here for this Saints squad.
Yeah, we'll have to see what everybody decides to lock in here, but it looks like we're just about to get ready into game number 1 here on the Lighthouse, I believe. A Lighthouse on Ilios. This is such a fun map. That control point right underneath the lighthouse there in the center is such an interesting point to capture because there's so many different angles and approaches you can take. But once you're in there, it's really difficult to kind of get a team out of there. Like the walls kind of make it really awkward for teams to approach. You're usually relying on your ultimates to make those pushes. So if you're stuck on the outside, you're mostly focused on ult charge. There's not really too much strategy that you can take to kind of force a team off there. You will obviously likely see a team abusing Lucio on this map, and we can already see Imp actually had the Lucio selected, just decides to debate me a little bit and swaps it over to the Brigida. So looking at the St. Clair lineup, we've got a lot of like squishy dive here with both Tracer, McCree, and Brigida here now in the front line. So some pretty low HP frontliners with this draft. Of course, the dive, as you were saying, we actually have the Wrecking Ball and the Roadhog together. It's going to be for a really interesting start. We can actually see already Prince Wada getting very aggressive onto Frosty in the back line with the ball there. Luxie's taking quite a bit of damage here in this first initial skirmish. Now inside the house, there's 3 go down on the side of St. Clair. Trading back 2, however, the fight is not yet done, but it looks like Champlain College is going to come up ahead in this team fight.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Saints were a little bit a bit of them was clumped up, and then some of them were split off. I like the idea there from Prince Wada, who's been picking up the Wrecking Ball a little bit more often and went right after Frosty, but unfortunately was not able to really get back in time to help defend the rest of his teammates. And then you're mentioning the squishiness of this St. Clair squad. You bundle them up in a little house like that, and it's just easy pickings there for Champlain College, and they're going to be the first ones to get themselves an ultimate as well. It's going to be Magi with the bomb ready to go. Prince Wada going to go one-on-one here with the tank line, but just rolls himself away. Of course, more of a nuisance in regards to tanking, and actually bailable. Getting caught out by Frosty, actually. A nice little pick-off for Frosty there, and it should be possibly the flip around there for Saints now, as we do have Luxie over onto the Winston, but does get taken down by Kale. So once again, Kale picking up the McCree pretty much right off the get-go. But as we can see, the percent kind of goes pretty quickly here in these capture point matches, and that's going to be a rough one right there. Huge Graviton coming out from Lido, and it's going to really round up the Saints. Are they going to be able to fight back, however? We do have some mines available if Prince Wada could find himself a good position. Of course, that pillar being right in the middle of this fight could really allow Prince Wada to just absolutely bowl over everybody, but it doesn't really matter because nobody's on the capture point until Prince Wada actually going to maybe try and get the backdoor attempt. He does plant the mines as well to make it a little bit difficult here. Don't want the Echo to face check that, and that's exactly why Prince Wada going to find the kill. Saints are going to actually ninja flip this because of it, and now at least stops the bleeding for at least a little bit.
That was a really intelligent back cap from Prince Wada to kind of sneak onto the point there and force Champlain to respond to his movement. I did want to call out how quickly Lucio charged up that Graviton for that initial fight there. It was up like within seconds. They comboed it with the Tracer Bomb. They didn't manage to get the combo there, but they had it within the first 25 seconds. Here comes the stick from Available now, though, with the bomb onto Java Chip. It's going to be a double kill combined with the High Noon. That's 2 kills now going Kale's way, and St. Clair should be able to clean this team fight up.
Absolutely. They do get the nice quick triple, and then just slowly but surely taking everybody else down as well. And they're going to be able to at least get themselves a little bit back on the board here. Of course, Champlain was on 70% so far, and Saints catching their way back up. By the time that Champlain arrives, it will be about 50% and counting. See if the Saints can hang on here, as we do see the Champlain squad going up to the high ground, actually, and that's where Prince Wada is going to meet Frosty once again, but some huge damage coming out from the blue squad. It's going to be able to Prince Wada to try and delay this as much as possible, but the Saints just melted.
Oh my gosh, it's such an unfortunate position for the Wrecking Ball here on this map. You have a wall that you can swing through, but the positioning and like the awkwardness of the space to get the perfect 360 angle to keep spinning and spinning is next to impossible on that wall. So really unfortunate for Prince Wada to not able to find that location. He seems to be going for these flank plays a lot. He's always diving onto this Ana in the back. You can actually see him there. He is going in for it again. The problem is that as soon as he does that, his team is left wide open and exposed. It's going to take some kind of reconsideration here to reflect that strategy. But the Graviton! Oh my god, the Tio. And that's going to be the wipe, and that's going to be the game for Champlain College here. 100% secured on map 1. Lighthouse goes to Champlain.
And of course, these capture maps are best of 3 in nature, so Saints are not done here for game number 1 just yet, but a solid job nonetheless there from Champlain, with Imp going down as quick as he did there in that last fight. Had the rally available, did not get pops, just instantly got taken down before he had the opportunity to even give the rest of the Saints squad that extra armor. So that fight just went absolutely kaput. Latio and Luxie too, comboing those ults with a combo that I don't normally often see. You don't usually see a Primal Rage Winston alongside the Graviton, but I mean that's what you had and you made it work. So solid job rather to Champlain.
I was really hoping we would see Prince Wada switch to something Orisa or Azaria here to kind of give his team a little bit more frontline utility, but it looks like he's going to be sticking onto the Wrecking Ball for this map. We'll see how he manages to use it. Again, here he goes for that flank. We loves to see this initial engage, chasing down this Aura, going for that kind of assassination tank style. But we can already see that this is the trade-off here, is that when you dive onto the enemy supports, your team gets rolled in the front. And we can see 3 kills now going Champlain's way without having a solid front line to hold the line for them. Available trying to do a little bit of damage, but does get stuck by the Echo, needs to come out and heal a little bit, reposition, wait for his team to regroup on point. But it looks like the point's already going to go Champlain's way, and they're going to start racking up some charge right away here on Well.
It really feels like Saints just need to do something standard, whether it's like divey or just pick up the Rhine and just walk behind it, because this flank 2-pronged attack style is just not working for them. Time and time again, Frosty gets jumped on, then doesn't mind it necessarily. Jumps right into the middle of his team's like, okay, yes, you got the jump on me. You gonna come take us all on by yourself? What are you gonna do about it? And like the Saints then can't get anything done. And like you were saying, it leaves the front door basically open for the Saints attack. And they just get shut down right away. And again, support line instantly blown up here. Roy and Magi taking them down. It's just going to be a matter of time before everybody else drops as well. Luxie hanging on by a thread, but going to take care of Prince Wada. Saints, in the meantime, did actually ninja cap, so they're going to at least be able to get themselves 10% on the board and stop some of the bleeding coming out here from Champlain College. But now, Champlain's got it back again, and 40% and counting. Saints got to go back to the drawing board as they have no ultimates, but we see 3 on the side of Champlain.
3, and looking at the charge on the team, nearly 6. We can already see all the remaining 3 players have over 75% charge on their ultimates as well. So this next fight is going to be an absolute bloodbath, and Champlain will definitely have the upper hand going into this. They're going to have to look for a pick using these Roadhog hooks, but unfortunately, Luxie in the front line being such a nuisance, single-handedly zoning the back line of St. Clair. You can see Apostle getting absolutely shredded in the front line. He's left 1 versus 5 in the front. There goes the tank line. There goes the support line. All that's left is Commanda and Kale trying desperately to survive. They're going to have to retreat here and wait for their team to regroup. And now the point is at 75%, and St. Clair have yet to make a solid push.
Like, I don't even know what you do if you're St. Clair in this position. Sure, you have, like, do you just nano boost whole hog? What do you do in this spot here? And it's going to be trying to go through Java Chup's rally as well. Commanda, again, just not getting any coverage in the slightest here. Luxie, time and time again, just dive bombing her and doing exactly what Prince Wada was trying to do. But unfortunately there for the Saints, it's completely effective. Takes Commanda down over and over again and forced to come into this fight late. Overtime, not going to go in the favor of St. Clair, and Champlain starting things off right with a very strong win here on Ilias.
In my opinion, we've seen this St. Clair team. Obviously, this is a new roster. It's going to take the team a little bit of time to kind of get familiar with each other, for all the players to get comfortable with each other. But we've seen this St. Clair roster just absolutely destroy teams in macro. Their decision-making is immaculate, and they have excellent target focus. The problem right now, in my complete opinion, they lost this in draft. They lost this coming out of base. The heroes that they chose just were not able to accomplish the job that they wanted to complete. And unfortunately, it leaves Champlain this huge opening to burst through this incredibly weak front line that St. Clair have, dive these supports on repeat, and make these fights feel almost unwinnable.
Absolutely. So we throw it back to us here at the caster's desk real quick. So a really tough one there, to say the least. Just basically time and time again, like you're saying, just the Saints composition just felt like it just wasn't clicking. Like there was maybe 2 pieces that were trying to do 2 different things. Time and time again, Amanda and Imp would both get dive bombed successfully, but then Prince Wada would go in by himself and try to do it, but just would never be able to actually successfully get the job done. And of course, one thing I didn't quite do while we were getting ready to hop into game number 1, of course, was to actually really introduce this Champlain College squad as we throw it back into the game, which is just about to get started here. But We do have, of course, we have Frosty. We saw him doing a solid job keeping alive last time by alongside Java Chup for the support line. It was Magi and Roy, I believe, who were on the DPS, and then Luxie and Lido on the tank line for Champlain.
The Champlain team is doing a really good job of working around each other's heroes. You can already see in their draft here, there's a much more synergistic line than what St. Clair was taking in the previous rounds. We can hopefully see St. Clair making some adjustments. We already see now the Diva being picked up for Apostle here. This DPS line now, we have the Echo available along with Commanda's Ana as well as Imps Brigida. So already the pieces are starting to look a little bit more solidified. We're able to kind of play a better front-to-back approach with the Diva being able to kind of dive in and clean up kills. Looks like Kale's going to lock into McCree, a solid DPS choice here as well. I would really like to see a shield tank here from St. Clair. Even though they are on the offensive, I think it would be really important. But Prince Wada, going to make me sad. Going to take the wrecking ball again. Hopefully he makes it work this time. Didn't do too well on the last map, but he obviously seems very comfortable on the hero. We'll let him run his course and see how this goes. But Champlain going for the high defense here. Wada's going to be able to sneak onto the point, it looks like, as Apostle. Kind of face-checking his dive to get in there, but oh my gosh, it is havoc and devastation for St. Clair. 3 dead already in the backline as Wada goes for the ninja cap. He's not going to find it. The Rhine charge connects. They're able to get back onto the point. Wada running for his life, but again getting blown up in the backline, and there goes Available. And St. Clair already in shambles. Everybody's trickled back on this respawn, and they're already wasting nearly a minute of time here in this first map.
The apparent jump scare defense coming out of Champlain College for that one, all hiding in the room. That was actually rather crafty. I do like that. That being said, though, because they went for that, they did give up that first third of the capture point for free. By the time they got there, as we can see the little marking up on the scoreboard there, they almost got like the first half completely. And now we have Wada jumping on in into the middle of everybody, but is there any sort of reinforcements? Lido nearly going down, but again, we're going to start seeing the Saints fall. Again, it seems to be the support line every single time, just either not covered or finding themselves out of position, getting wrecked, and then, of course, it's just a matter of time before everybody else falls from the Saints because you have no heals. And Frosty going to find the final elimination. KL running for dear life, but Commanda is back to back him up. But rough fight so far here for Saints, especially with a couple ultimates around the corner here for Champlain.
Champlain is doing to St. Clair what St. Clair was doing to nearly every single team in NECC last season. Like, their target focus is incredible. Like, you can look at the kill feed every single fight, and it's support dies, then DPS dies, then tank dies. And they're just pulling off these incredible fights where everything they want to kill dies exactly when they want it to die. And for St. Clair, they're struggling to kind of pull this together. Wada keeps going for these really cheesy ninja caps, and we're just not finding the kind of pressure to get that push onto the point here in these team fights. We can see Apostle struggling to do his damage in the front line. Not a single kill picked up here. Available, actually committing the ulti and not going to find anything. Oh my gosh, the Diva Bomb is available, but he's going to have to retreat here. Champlain is just pushing St. Clair off this point. On repeat, they are not even breaking a sweat.
If there were 2 words that I could use to describe this St. Clair strategy so far, it would be solo queue. Because that's the kind of thing that I'm looking at right now with a lot of the Saints squad feel like they're kind of fending for themselves. I know the critical one that we're going to keep looking over here is Prince Wada, because it's probably the most obvious. Like, I don't know what they're trying to do. Unless they can make this one work, can they make the Diva Bomb stick? I don't think it did, actually. So Prince Wada, through the sound barrier, going to try his damnedest to actually get out of dodge. But again, Bailable actually going to be the first casualty here in this fight, as it does happen above. Back and forth action. Commanda actually finds herself in a relatively decent position. Nano Boost ready, but now the Reinhardt's on top of her. This is definitely a spot you don't want to be in. Everybody drops. And now we have about a minute left here on the clock for St. Clair. If Bailable could catch somebody out of position, that would have been pretty cheeky, but he did have his support line there. So Lido going to get back out of dodge, and you have 3 ultimates by the time Saints get back up here. I don't know how the Saints are going to be able to breach this. They're going to probably get stuck with this first third.
I mean, there is a silver lining for St. Clair, and the silver lining is they did manage to get that 1.5 tick here on that first capture. So hopefully, if their defense is strong enough, they might actually be able to pull the come from behind win. But it's going to be tricky. Now we can actually see Kill get the flanking ulti, but get stunned up immediately. You're playing against a Brig McCree. You're never going to find an angle for that Death Blossom like that. Just unfortunate for St. Clair. They're just getting outdrafted on repeat. And now Champlain, with only 5 seconds remaining, barely losing anything in this first map here.
Yeah, one last for glory attempts there, but actually Roy's going to just shut it dead anyway with the Deadeye. So yeah, Saint's going to be cut off just before the halfway point in this one, after the jump scare defense kind of left the point open at least a little bit for Prince Wada to do a back cap. But with how clean Champlain College is looking so far here in this match, it would not surprise me to see them very quickly clean up this capture point, especially with the spawn room for this map specifically here for Numbani is a rather long walk. So one person goes down, that could easily swing over half a point.
That is the advantage of these hybrid map styles, is that they're typically much longer than any other form of map. Previously, the last map obviously being on the control point assault style map, each team has an equal chance and opportunity to get back to the point because the maps are an equal length on either side. But with Numbani, you've got a really long walk of shame back if you're on defense here. You get picked off early on into the round. So St. Clair drafting a much better composition this time. I feel Prince Wada finally, God bless, moving off the wrecking ball. Now onto the Reinhardt, one of his signature picks. This is a much stronger pick here, especially with a short melee range front line like the Reaper, like the McCree, because you're able to let them fight at close range, get a lot of headshots in, and do their damage without risk of getting punished at that close range. We can see nearly an identical comp coming over on the side of Champlain. Obviously, Luxy on the Winston again. He did a great job with it on Ilios. We'll have to see how he performs here. Unfortunately, playing into the McCree and the Reaper is going to be a little tricky, but if he plays well enough, you know, you can have these dive angles onto the support line. And Champlain already finding their way onto the point as 6 here. A huge team fight already breaking out early on into the fight. Look at that, Bailable trying to get his damage in there. Actually does manage to find a pick onto Lucio. Kale now cleaning up Luxy, and St. Clair holding a much better defense this time around. Second kill goes to Kale, now picked off onto Roy. And St. Clair sending Champlain home. Gonna look for that last little kill there, but I don't think they're gonna find it. And unfortunately, Champlain, that first fight did not go the way they intended.
Yeah, it's just an ult builder, to say the least, there for the side of Champlain, but a solid defense there for St. Clair. And like you were mentioning before, this team composition just feels so much more at home here for the Saints, and it's just so smart. Of course, you got Coalescence now coming out here from Commanda, going to be able to just fly through everybody alongside the Shatter from Prince Wada, clean it up. That's going to be a nice quick triple there for Prince Wada. The team is wiped or running away. So 2 strong defenses, but they did have to use 2 ults, and we're probably going to see Champlain come back with about 3 by the time they actually start really engaging.
Champlain's coming back with 3, but St. Clair is still holding on to a number of ultimate abilities. Oh my gosh, it's hard today. We've got Bailable on 95%, Apostle nearly at 100, Imp is very close as well. So this fight is going to be a little bit of a bloodbath. It really depends on who can snap that ult.
There we go.
It's going to be Bailable. There's the Death Blossom. But Frosty with the Coalescence, 2 kills now traded back onto the Moira. Lucio is going to find a pick onto Prince Wada, and this is looking doomed for St. Clair. 3 kills now going the way of Champlain. Nothing traded back in return. We can see Apostle diving back onto the point, but it's too late. The point is capped, and Champlain picking up the 2-0 victory against St. Clair College.
Gosh, that just took a turn there with, it looked like Bailable was exactly where he needed to be, and I think that's going to be shown right here in this play of the game from Frosty. But yeah, Bailable was right in where he needed to be with this Death Blossom, but the Coalescence already being popped, able to keep his entire team alive. You see so many red health bars actually there, but Frosty able to keep them all topped off with that Coalescence, while also finding 2 eliminations in the process. Beautifully done there for the side of Champlain and for Frosty specifically, as we throw it back to us here at the desk. Now, one thing, I'm just going to pause for the briefest of moments, because for these placement matches, if this was a best-of-3 series, then yes, the game's over. This one goes over to Champlain College. But because we are trying to do stats by win differential, I think that the NECC recommends playing all 3 matches regardless of if it would have ended in the best-of-3. So right now here for Champlain, they're definitely taking home the W in this match. But can Saints pull one and try to get themselves at least 1 win here? And it looks like it's going to be Route 66.
I love this map. It's easily one of my favorite maps in the game. It's actually a good map for the Ana if Commander decides to pick it up again. You have a lot of really good long-range sniper angles. You can play from a relatively safe distance without having to worry about divers, especially on this initial push here, kind of from the tankers underneath the bridge. You can find some good shots to keep your team alive without needing to worry too much about divers. But I could definitely see a team like Champlain picking something up like the Farah and going for those high sky high flanks. Oh my gosh, English is hard today, Tanner. I'm not gonna lie. I think that last team fight messed me up a little bit. It was crazy. That coalescence was incredible coming out from Frosty. A really well done execution from the Champlain team. They are really giving St. Clair a run for their money, and they're forcing them to improve. Like, you have to play at your best if you want to compete with a team like this. Their target focus is incredible. Their teamwork is incredible. The way they all positioned around Frosty's coalescence in that last fight really demonstrates how much they trust each other as a team. And I think, if anything, this is a great learning opportunity for St. Clair to see how a team like this competes, and just going into your next game, apply literally everything you're seeing them do, because they are playing this game wonderfully together.
Absolutely. That's one thing that does get me excited for the rest of the NECC placement matches and then the regular season itself, because we've seen a solid mix of talent here. There's been, last week on Friday, we did get a little bit roughed up in the first match as well, but then we were able to get one back. So back and forth season we very well may have here, as we see another jump scare defense coming out here from the side of Champlain. Gonna find Kale nice and quick. Of course, Saint's going to be on the attack to start things off. Bailable going to be picking up the Widowmaker and going to make it work, at least right now, up against Luxy. Does find him. Of course, Kale got picked off, but is back in action. Bit of a flank attempt, but Lito's going to be right there to try and defend the rest of the team. And Saint's kind of being held at the transport containers as they look to try and push this cart. They finally get themselves an opportunity. And I will say this, I'm happy to see that Prince Wada, even though this is a map that maybe could have used a Wrecking Ball in regards to like being able to take the high ground and jump and interfere with everybody up on the high grounds, I'm kind of still happy to see the Reinhardt come out, just in terms of the same style.
Yeah, for sure. And on the last map, we saw, even in the short game that it was, the Reinhardt pick made a huge difference compared to what the Wrecking Ball was able to provide for the team comp. It's a much more solid pick. This Bastion, getting committed by Frosty, is going to completely dominate this fight. Roy with the triple high noon kill. Champlain just wiping the floor with St. Clair here on this push. Champlain did a really good job of taking that initial aggressive setup, because they know how far ahead they are in tempo, not just in game, but also kind of mentally and emotionally, coming off of a 2-0 win on the last two sets. Taking a play like that is a really good way to give yourself kind of a mental edge, because you kind of tilt the enemy team a little bit by making them to start off on the wrong foot. No one wants to come out of base and immediately enter a gunfight, and that's exactly what Champlain forced them to do. So really smart tactical move from Champlain. You can already see now here, another fight breaking out. Luxy diving in a little bit, forcing out the Diva Bomb from Apostle. The coalescence from Commando also being committed. Prince Wada has the Shatter available, not looking to use it here. He wants to wait for a better opportunity, maybe combo it with the high noon from Kale. We can see 91% charge up on that ultimate. This next fight is going to be crazy, but Bailable with the Hanzo finds the snipe, but Luxy again in return trading with an ultimate on the Commando. St. Clair though finding a much better team fight here. There's 5 kills going the way of St. Clair, and it looks like they're going to be able to get this payload moving a little bit more.
All right, so that first checkpoint could be right around the corner. Them just lining up here. Bailable picking up the Hanzo is definitely doing a ton of damage. And Kale as well, and the rest of the Saint squad all there to follow up as well. I think Commando might have been the only one who went down after a solid little boop there from Trax, which actually that's one thing to note, as there was the substitution on the side of Champlain. They never would have guessed with the way they've been playing so far. Dragon Strike is going to just get whipped out willy-nilly, and it's going to get absolute, or no, not absolutely nothing. It does take Luxy out, at least getting him low. Deadeye available here for Roy, and one thing you have to be very careful about is the wide open nature here of this map. If you're stuck on the street, you have to either use those transport boxes or hop into the gas station or something, and it's just a little bit tough if you can't quite get there.
You don't want to enter a gunfight with a cowboy on Route 66. This is exactly what McCree is meant for. It's a perfect map for those beautiful Deadeyes. You can get the nice flanking aerial positions and setup, and especially combined with the Reinhardt set up to give you those shatter combos is a beautiful way to just wipe the floor with a team with that rotation of ultimate. We can see now here, looking at Champlain, doing a quick little ult check. There's the Deadeye actually getting committed by Roy. He's looking for a way to execute it, but he doesn't actually find too much with it here. Now Kale on the bottom side with the Deadeye of his own available. Not really going to be able to find an opportunity to use it though. Mage with the Death Blossom picking up 3 kills now going his way. A 4th one with the melee kill onto Apostle. Roy cleaning up Prince Wada and Bailable as well. This DPS line for Champlain is unstoppable.
Yeah, that was definitely brutal and perfect timing there from Maj as he just unloaded on everybody. We did see Apostle try to whip out the defensive matrix to try and gobble up as much damage as possible, but even then, you could only do that for so long, and there was still enough damage coming out from that Reaper to try and make the Saints really pay for that move. Unfortunately, they got close to getting that first point, but not quite enough, and it's probably, at least if I were to guess, it's going to be a similar situation to what we saw in game number 2 in regards to a quick first capture here, but you never know. Got to see Saints on the defense this time by, and now I'm second guessing myself. I just called Big Girls a gas station. Am I a bot or what? Wait, no. Oh no, there's pumps there.
Yeah, no, it says gas right there, Danners. Look at it.
Oh my god, never mind, I am a bot. Oh jeez.
Ryan on the observer desk, thank you so much for helping me in my flame of my co-cast. Danners, you know, we love you and appreciate you. We know you've been doing this for a while. Your old eyes do get a little weary, and we understand here at St. Clair. It's okay, it's no problem. But thank you again, of course, for putting this together. It's a great opportunity for St. Clair to kind of have the opportunity to get their games casted and reviewed, because it's a good way to kind of have a resource after the fact to check out these games, watch your replays, you know, get some additional insight, and maybe get to see how you're playing from a different perspective. All of this helps, and if it wasn't for you know, this production setup from Mr. Dan Benners, we wouldn't have access to these tools. So thank you again, of course, for allowing us these opportunities.
Well, I'm definitely thankful for you and the rest of the students for reaching out and making it happen. But without further ado, we do have the attack underway now here for Champlain. It's going to be Lito leading the charge for the blue squad. And we do have Luxie. We're going to have ourselves like a double main tank kind of setup. But even with 2 main tanks, it doesn't really matter. It looks like they're just going to get melted anyway. Prince Wada does go down, however, and he is going to have himself quite the walk. So as this next fight probably goes down, he's going to be maybe like halfway, 3/4 of the way there. Nice little shot from Bailable to get that final shot onto Maj's Reaper.
I really like this St. Clair draft. Obviously, you're running a number of snipers into the Winston, but Ash is one of those DPS that can kind of switch to that semi-auto and force off the Winston at melee range. It's a much better and more reliable pick than something like the Widowmaker. A little bit of a kerfuffle here now inside.
Oh!
And Wada with the massive shatter. That's the instant ace. Oh my god, somebody clip that, please. That was beautiful. This is why we like you on Reinhardt, man. Don't you ever switch. What an incredible show of performance from Wada here in that tunnel. Great use of the ultimate there. Cleaning up Champlain. Easy defense on that push.
Wait a minute. What was the meme from last season? Happy birthday, Prince Wada, with the 6-player shatter. Beautiful, and you love to see it. But we'll have to see now because we do have the Champlain squad all recharged and ready to go, and they actually picked themselves a bit of a dive composition, and they damn well are committing to it. Diving in, going to make Imp's life extremely difficult. That being said, though, Prince Wada finding himself the double. The match on the Tracer really making things difficult here for Prince Wada and the rest of the Saint squad. Commanda is able to at least take to the skies and try to keep herself safe from the flanks of Maj, but is going to be able to at least time this up for at least a second. The Echo here from Roy could really get some awkward angles to being able to take the skies as often as Echo does. So now, with one ult on board here for Saints, and actually Apostle, he would have had another one as well, but just went down before the fight even engages on. Saints are going to be a player down no matter what. Luxie going to find himself a quick double, takes down Bailable and Commanda, and now Prince Wada might be not long for this world. Just about 15% away from getting his own ulti. He's going to at least bring one down with him. But as the rest of the Saints are trying to retreat and get the heck out of dodge, and then I think he would have been too late to come back here anyway. But brutal.
That's so unfortunate. Wada, as his dying act, tried to send off the ultimate and got killed in the cast, so he loses all of his percentage anyways. It doesn't really matter now. Champlain is already set to push for the win, and that's the 3-0 dub going Champlain College's way. What an incredible performance from this team. It was a pleasure to watch and a pleasure to cast. And honestly, if you're St. Clair, you can't come out of this feeling bad. You've got to look at these games and just learn everything you can. Let's take another look at this play. What an excellent ultimate from Wada.
As soon as the shield drops too, just absolutely melts everybody with that shatter and alongside the rest of the Saints as well. So beautifully done. If there is one thing that you can take out of this, as we throw this back to us for the moment, if there's one thing we can take out of this, you got the highlight, but at the same time, it's also the VOD review and the practice. You have the replay. Take a look at it. What were they doing, and how can you improve? Now, of course, sometimes when you get hit that hard, sometimes it's kind of hard to actually like determine what you could have done better. It's like, what could we have done better? We just got stomped. But you can at least take like little pieces out of it. Now, I'm like, actually, I'm going to quickly pick your brain here. I'm not going to go on talking about how to be a coach when I have a coach right here with me on the casting desk. So your team gets stomped. What do you look at as a coach to try and obviously improve off of it, but not just be like, yeah, that sucked. We just straight up lost.
The main thing you want to do, and obviously every game is different. Like coaching for League of Legends is completely different than coaching for Overwatch, because in League of Legends you have timings and you're setting up, you're building up the game from like minute 0 to minute 25 or even beyond that. Whereas with Overwatch, you can have team fights within the first 10 seconds, as we've seen in this game. So you have to have that strategy, that team fight strategy right out the get-go. Everything is about the fight. And then once you get those fights, then you can start looking at things like positioning, ultimate charge, whatever. But your main thing is you're focusing on how do we take these fights? How do we want to approach these fights? Who are we focusing on? What is our approach for dealing with flankers, divers, and getting that team fight set up? And I think one thing that St. Clair can really learn from the way Champlain played was not only that their target focus was really good, but they were really good at holding their line. They knew their composition well going into it, and they knew how to execute on it. St. Clair on those first 2 maps looked very shaky. You had, like we said, this diving wrecking ball that wanted to get these ninja caps, and then you were left with a solo tanking Roadhog trying to defend for a sniping support and a mid-range DPS among other heroes. And the strategy itself just didn't really complement each other. It seemed like the players were really kind of playing into their comfort rather than playing around each other. And I think at a level this high of a level where you're playing against teams that are Masters, GM, like these really solid teams of really highly skilled individual players, your individual skill is not enough to let you climb. You have to have good team coordination as well. So St. Clair coming out of this game really needs to be focusing on how are we going to play with each other? How do we learn to trust each other and hold those front lines together and take these fights properly as a team? Because we saw that when they did it exceptionally well. We saw a number of good fights go St. Clair's way, but only when they had a good strategy and they committed to holding that strategy.
Absolutely. And then just to reiterate what you were saying there before, like your comfort picks, they might take down a lesser team. A team maybe got like just got started or something. But yeah, with the teams that we're going to be seeing here in the NEC or NECC, as we can see there with Champlain College, that's not going to fly. So looking forward to seeing what the Saints end up pulling off here moving forward. Of course, technically, this isn't even the last game they're going to be having here tonight. Of course, 7:30. We do have another match here for the NECC placements. But of course, very similar to last week, actually, where last Friday, they really got hurt in game number or in the first match. But then they came back in match number 2 and just absolutely smoked it. So I'm very curious to see if they'll come back guns blazing, so to speak, here for the next game. Of course, 7:30 is going to be the scheduled time for that next match. I do believe I have the schedule for exactly who we're up against. I'm just going to double check real quick. But UTB something, I'm getting baited here, so I'll figure that out real quick here. But any final thoughts in regards to this this matchup with Champlain?
It's a learning opportunity, Danners. That's all there is to say about it. You can't come out of these games feeling all down and beating yourself up about it. You just got to keep your head up and look to the next game, especially when the next game is barely 2 hours away. You got to take this time, come out of it with a positive outlook. Think about what you can do to improve for that next game and just practice. I really hope this team hops into a couple comp games or QPs or scrims or something before their next batch. Try to get as much practice in as possible. because the more time they spend playing together, the more they'll learn to trust each other and follow up on each other's calls and play. And the more times we'll see those beautifully executed team fights. I want more shatter clips, Wada. I hope you're listening, Corey. I want more shatters. I want my timeline to be polluted with Reinhardt. So please figure it out and make it happen, because I'm more than happy to watch that on the main screen again.
Absolutely. But of course, we will see that in just over an hour's time. 7:30 is the scheduled time for the matchup. UBC Okanagan Esports is what we're going up against. I probably butchered the name, but I mean, how many different times or how many different ways have I said Champlain so far in this broadcast? Who knows? But
I love it. It's great. It's awesome.
Not triggering you in the slightest. But then also, but other than the match happening later on tonight, I do also want to take a quick look at the schedule for the matches that are coming up in the next couple days. Tomorrow, 7 p.m., we're going to have ourselves some R6 Collegiate Championship match. We do have the City College of New York Esports Club. That's what it was. I had to quickly double check myself with that logo real quick. But yeah, Rainbow Six Siege action at 7. Then on Sunday, we are back with the Face It CSGO Collegiate Contenders. Then Monday, League of Legends action returns. Upsurge Minor League. Shadi, we get to go see your team in action once again. 8 o'clock on Monday. Tuesday, you're actually going to get yourselves 2 doses of Counter-Strike this week as NECC Esports has their second week of action. First week happened, of course, last week. The seasons are just all over the place. You should see my calendar. It looks like visual diarrhea. But then lastly, that we have here so far, but it's not going to be the last bit because, of course, like I've been saying before, this week is the starting of one match every single day until like the end of April. We're going on a grinding spree in regards to casting matches. But for now, from what we can see, Wednesday 8 p.m. we've got some Hearthstone action up against York Esports.
That's going to be fun to watch. It was unfortunate that the last cast didn't manage to happen. There were some bugs with the Blizzard software, but I'm really looking forward to getting back into casting Hearthstone. I mean, as much as I've kind of moved away from the game a little bit personally, it's still a fun to cast card games here and then again. It's just a really kind of chill, relaxing experience. The team fights aren't chaotic because there aren't any. You just get to vibe out and watch some cards. So if you're like me, you want to chill out, enjoy some good card game action, make sure to tune in for that on Wednesday night because I'll be here.
Absolutely. And you don't have to be a rap god to actually call out all the action in Hearthstone. That being said, you'd be surprised though. Or not, you'd be surprised. Use at home would still be surprised, of course. But with that, we're going to close out here for now, take ourselves about an hour for a break, get something to eat real fast, and then we'll be back for match 2 of this Overwatch NECC placement matches. Of course, real quick before I do close out, I almost forgot, of course, let's do a couple thank yous. Big thank you, of course, to the sponsors that make this all possible. St. Clair College, Zeckelman School of Business and Information Technology, PC Outlet, St. Clair Alumni Association, Tim Hortons, and the St. Clair SRC. Also, a big thank you, of course, to Shadi for once again commentating, and then to Ryan for his first time doing some observer work for us today. Thank you so much for doing so. Fantastic job. Look forward to having you on again. And we'll probably have you on a little bit later on tonight. So we'll have to see there. But as you can tell, I'm running out of gas. Got to get something to eat. So we're going to throw it to a bit of a break here. Got ourselves an hour to kill. And we'll be back with match number 2.